So very warm greetings to you all. So we continue our journey of discovery, touching the heights and diving down to the depths of wisdom. And we hand over to Dr. Vladimir Yatsenko now. Thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you everyone for coming, continuing our journey. Today we will deal with a metaphysical picture of the Veda in the light of Sri Aurobindo. All the planes of consciousness, how they are presented in the Veda, and also how they are reconstructed by Sri Aurobindo in his integral yoga. And it's quite interesting because they are fully matching in a way. And so I will start with my slide straightforward. Today is a full day of things, so we need to save our time. So, you know this simple vision of the five koshas, everybody knows it, who studies the Vedas or the Upanishads. And so, to highlight them differently, we spoke about Brahman as the fundamental of the whole existence, consciousness, bliss, supermind, mind, life, and matter. These are the levels of consciousness. I was speaking about them as horizontal ones. And I mentioned that Atman is something like self-awareness of Brahman. We can call Atman that it is Brahman, but self-aware. So it becomes a self. What self means? It means that it is a being. To be a being, you have to be aware of that level of consciousness. So basically, that is Sri Aurobindo's words here, divine self, all conscious soul, and so on. So I will read one text of Sri Aurobindo, which is so important to understand these levels in terms of the individual being. Atman, says Sri Aurobindo, represents itself differently in sevenfold movement of nature according to the dominant principle of the consciousness in the individual being. In the physical consciousness, Atman becomes the material being, Annamaya Purusha. In the vital or nervous consciousness, Atman becomes the vital or dynamic being, Pranamaya Purusha. In the mental consciousness, Atman becomes the mental being, Manomaya Purusha. In the supra-intellectual consciousness, dominated by the truth or the causal idea, called in the Veda Satyam Ritam Brihad, the true, the right, the vast, Atman becomes the ideal being or great soul, Vijnanamaya Purusha, or Mahata Atman. In the consciousness proper to the beatitude, universal beatitude, Atman becomes the all-blissful being, or the all-enjoying and all-productive soul, Anandamaya Purusha. Notice that everywhere he uses becomes, Atman becomes. Vijnanamaya Purusha, Atman becomes the all-blissful, or all-enjoying and all-productive soul, Anandamaya Purusha. And now, in the consciousness proper to the infinite divine self-awareness, which is also the infinite all-effective will, Chittapas, Atman is the all-conscious soul, does not become anymore. Atman is the all-conscious soul that is source and Lord of the universe, Chaitanya Purusha. In the consciousness proper to the state of pure divine existence, Atman is Sat Purusha. So Sat Chit, and he are his inherent, intrinsic qualities. The rest is his becoming, as it were. The pure divine self, man being one in his true self with the Lord, who inhabits all the forms, can live in any of these states of the self in the world and partake of its experiences. He can be anything he wills, from the material to the all blissful being, to Anandamaya Purusha, which is his soul. Through the Anandamaya Purusha, he can enter into the Chaitanya and Sat Purusha. This is something very interesting and very important for us, for metaphysical vision. So I want to go straight to the Veda now with this introduction of these Purushas. The Vedic paradigm. The Vedic paradigm is unique in one way, that all the faculties in the Veda are seen as projected by the Divine Mother, Aditi, infinite consciousness force. That very consciousness force which is intrinsic in the Atman, in the being. The supreme emanations of that consciousness force are called Adityas, or sons of Aditi, or maybe even faculties of Aditi. We call them sons, but they could be faculties, representatives of Aditi on different levels of consciousness. There are 7 of them: Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, and Surya. I have to say something here. The oldest mentioning of these are in the second book, yes, and second Mandalam by Gritsamada. And only 6 are mentioned: Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, and not Surya. But it is implied that it is Surya and has 6 additional forms. Then later it develops. It becomes 12 in the post-Vedic period. We have them identified with 12 months of the year and so on. Indra is included, Vishnu is included. But originally these are the 7 Adityas. Sri Aurobindo deals with them in this way, anyhow. So if you look at this Aditi as the mother, who projects these Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, and Surya, these are the 7 Adityas, and there is a myth, Vedic myth, when Aditi, the Divine Mother, manifested these 7 sons, or kind of manifested through these 7 faculties, brought to birth the 8th son, Vivasvat. And Vivasvat is that involved son. Yes? He was born as Martanda, as dead embryo. He was ugly. He was not alive, as it were. And seeing him in that form, the Divine Mother withdrew from him and left him alone. She left him with her 7 sons, so he was not part of the family, as it were. This is the way to say that Vivasvat was separated from the original work of the Aditi. In other places they say that Vivasvat was stolen, taken by the Asuras, and was hidden in the darkness, yes, in the inconscient. So it is the involved son, the son who is involved in the darkness. In the Veda, many times they mention that, few times they mention that Agni is rising from Vivasvat. You can imagine if Agni, who is rising from the depth of the inconscient, is rising from Vivasvat, that means Vivasvat is the foundation within the darkness. So this, what I must say also here is that this number, this order is so important. Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, Surya, and Vivasvat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because every one of the next implies that the previous must be there. So Varuna exists by himself, but Mitra cannot exist by himself without Varuna. Aryaman exists because Varuna and Mitra are there always. Bhaga is possible only when Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman is implied. And so on. Yeah? So Vivasvat basically embodies all 7 sons within himself, though he is separated from them. Surya, our Surya, the transcendental or supramental consciousness, has seven forms within it. Yeah? Amsha, Daksha, Bhaga, Aryaman, Mitra, and Varuna. All of them are Surya, actually. So this is uninvolved sun, and Vivasvat is the involved sun, supermind. We will come to it again, so it's important to know it from the beginning. So these are Sri Aurobindo's definitions. The four transcendental Godheads. He calls them also the guardians of light. It's interesting. The four kings. He mentions them in Savitri a few times. If we read Savitri, we will meet those kings with capital K. Varuna represents the vastness of infinite being, Sat. Mitra, the luminosity of harmony, of consciousness, Chit. Aryaman, the power of the divine tapas. Bhaga, the bliss of the divine fulfillment, Ananda. These are Sri Aurobindo's words. So you can see immediately Sat, Chit, Tapas, Ananda of the post-Vedic literature. So these Adityas represent the transcendental Godheads, the actions of the Divine Mother, and in the Veda, it is only in the Veda that the Divine Mother is the central deity, yes, who generates all the rest of the gods and godheads. All of them are coming from her. Even Asuras and Rakshasas and all of them are coming from Diti, the other, a twin mother of Aditi. We will come to it in a minute. So the three godheads of the Daksha, Amsha, and Surya, Sri Aurobindo explains in this way. Daksha represents the power of thought, capital T, notice, all discerning and all distributing power of supramental consciousness. We know Daksha in the post-Vedic literature as the Prajapati, as the one who manifested all the gods and godheads. This is the top of the supermind, the oneness, yeah? All discerning and all distributing power of the supramental consciousness. Amsha represents the diversity in oneness, supported by that unifying power of Daksha. So it's quite interesting. So there is already diversity in oneness. Amsha means the portion. Interesting word, portion, part. Portion implies that it is part of something which is one. So both ideas are in this Amsha. Amsha is also the beginning of our formulation of our embodied self. Here, the soul, the psychic being. This is the Amsha of the divine soul. Surya, or Savitri, Savitar, represents all the seven Adityas and projects them into the lower creation. This is the lowest level. His rays represents the diversity in the domains of Svar. The domain of Svar is coming next, after Supermind. Sri Aurobindo calls this domain as the domain of the rays of the sun. Savitar is actually that power which manifests the rays of the sun. It's like, we will come in a minute. Let's look into these seven again. Varuna Sat, Mitra Chit, Aryaman Tapas, Bhaga Ananda, Daksha, supramental knowledge force, Amsha, supramental many in one and one in many, and finally Surya Savitri, supramental manifestation. Sri Aurobindo mentions Surya not separately from Savitri. He always says Surya Savitri for some reason. Though Savitri, Savitar, is more the power of consciousness, whereas Surya is more the self. In the Veda it is said that Surya is Atma of all that moves and moves not, the self, the being, and Savitri, Savitar, is Vashi, is the Lord. So the the self and the Lord. The Lord is that who manages with his consciousness power all the bits and pieces and presentations of his own being. So if you look at this upper and lower hemisphere in the Vedic terms, we will see that Aditi has 7 sons, and Diti is a projection, a mirroring image in the lower hemisphere. Aditi is undivided consciousness force, Diti is dividing consciousness force. Diti is to divide, Aditi is to be undivided. Though it is not totally correct. I will not go into this etymology of Aditi. Sri Aurobindo says it is from root ad, to consume, to partake, and Diti is to divide. So they seem to be from different roots, but they are fitting very well into this explanation, undivided and dividing consciousness. So when Surya, supramental realm of consciousness, meets the darkness for the first time, in the Rig Veda it is beautifully described, when the disk of the sun meets the darkness. So what happens when the disk enters into the darkness, this pervasion of the disk into the darkness generates the rays. So from one side, darkness enters the sun, and from the other side, the sun enters the darkness. It's a very good image to imagine what it is, the realm of the rays of the sun, of the overmind. Yeah? So these are the overmental Godheads, so to say, somewhere as a projection. So what is interesting in his book, in his The Hour of God, that is the whole volume, he describes that the Sat, Avaruna, becomes matter. So the being, the divine being, infinite and eternal, becomes the material manifestation here in the projection of deity. So we can see that the highest becomes the lowest. Mitra and Aryaman become that what we know as pranic world. Prana. Prana is always double. One foot is in heaven, other foot is on earth. And this duality of prana is expressed in the Mitra and Aryaman, in the consciousness force. Consciousness force is constituting our prana. I cannot dwell on it more, but if there would be questions, I would answer them. It's a very interesting topic. We see Ashwins in the same way. We see Nakula and Sahadeva, Ashwins embodied in the Mahabharata. So they represent power and consciousness, and that manifests life force. Bhaga is Ananda. It is in a few places he says that it is the projection of the mind, and in the mind there is a way to the psychic. And later in other places Sri Aurobindo says that is the psychic here, which is going straight from Ananda. And these are triple mind or overmind here. So let me go forward. And this is in the post-Vedic vision, this is what we find in the Hinduism in general. Yes, in Tantras, in everywhere, actually, in the Gita. So this is the vision of Hinduism. We have Sat, Chit, Ananda, Vijnana, Manas, Prana, and Anna. Notice that Chit Tapas is only represented here as Chit. We have to add Tapas there, and that would be Aryaman, which is so important for the Veda, but less important for the general metaphysical picture. So this is Para Prakriti, higher Prakriti, and this is Apara Prakriti, lower Prakriti. And they are joined within by the supermind, by Vijnana. So what this Vijnana is doing, it is taking Sat Chit Tapas Ananda and refashions it, forges out of it and the world of dynamic truth, and so projects it into the lower, into the time and space, apara prakriti, as manas, prana, and annam, in the mirroring image. So beyond all this, beyond transcendental and this world, there is something or someone, the supreme Purushottama. I am using the words of the Gita here. Look at the Sri Aurobindo's image, you will see absolutely the same idea. You will see the descending and ascending triangle. Descending triangle is Satchitananda, ascending is Annam, Prana, and Manas. And within there is a lotus, the avatar, the supermind. This four, the square within this six-cornered star is the fourth one, the supermind. Sri Aurobindo even says that that is the symbol of the supermind. So the supermind connects these two triangles into oneness of manifestation. So our manifestation has transcendental and the world within time and space. Without transcendental, this world in time and space would not endure, would not be possible to support it. But beyond all of them, there is a Supreme. Supreme uses this formation for his manifestation. I'm sure you know these things, but just I have to repeat them to lay them upon the Vedic paradigm, that you see that everything is coming from the Vedic vision. So, similar with Atman, you can see the same idea. The Atman is, as the self, as the being, is on each level creating the individualization or self-awareness on each of these levels, till the physical being, and the physical being is here in the body. So I'm coming back to this, to the overmental creation. Surya Savitri, the Lord of creation, the rays of the sun thus build up the luminous planes, called in the Vedas Svar. Svar means shining. It has three luminous realms called Trirochana, three shining or luminous realms, from Rutruch to shine, which thus project the higher three realms of cosmic mind, Tisrodhyavach, triple heaven, three heavens are there. So after three luminous realms, we have three heavens in the Vedic paradigm. Sustaining the three spaces of the vital realm, called Trini Rajansi or Tri Rajansi, three flaming levels. So all of them, interestingly, use the words which mean to shine. Svar means to shine, Ruch means to shine, Dyauch from Ruddiv means to shine, and Rajas means to shine. All of them shining realms, but with different terminology. It's kind of interesting. All of them are representing the light of consciousness on different levels. So after the three heavens, we have three vital realms. And below three vital realms, we have three earths. The Veda mentions Tisro Bhumi. Who could have thought that we have three earths, not one? Or triple earth, let us say. So we can see we have 3, 3, 3, and 3, 12. 12 rays, 12 realms of consciousness in the embodied state in time and space, starting from the overmind, the highest, to the lowest physical creation. This we don't find anywhere else, actually, only in Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. So Sri Aurobindo's terms compared to the Vedic, supramental overmind, these three rochana, three luminous realms of Svar, he names them in this way. supramental of a mind, and intuitive mind. Supramental of a mind is of a mind closest to the supermind, that first outburst of the meeting the disk of the sun with the darkness, as it were. Overmind is the realm which is actually holding the center and diversifying that outburst. And intuitive mind works more to the point, like the rays of the sun. So intuition comes like aha moment, like a flash, like a lightning. And that is more and more, individualized for the particular purpose. Then below this, we have three heavens of the mind: illumined mind, in terms of Sri Aurobindo, higher mind, and mind proper, or universal mind. Two lower triple realms of the vital, Sri Aurobindo does not name them, but the mother brings her terminology from occultism, from the Semitic tradition. And this is quite interesting. She calls it mental vital, proper vital, or vital vital, and physical vital. These are three realms of the vital. And then three bhumis, she named them as mental physical, vital physical, and proper physical. By the way, Sri Aurobindo follows this terminology. He took it from the mother, because they were not named anywhere else but in the Veda, Trini Rajansi and Tisro Bhumi. Nowhere else you find this kind of categorization. So to give you the full picture in one slide, here it is. So we have triple supermind, and Sri Aurobindo calls this three levels of the supermind elsewhere as unity, the highest one, which is daksha, one in many in one, which is amsha, portion, and many. So from the oneness to the many, we have the transition, one in many in one. So one is unifying, other is diversifying, and the lowest is totally diversified, kind of projected into the rays of the sun, into Trirochana, into the three realms of Spar. And these three realms of Svar generate this triple world 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 are mental mind, physical mind, mental, vital, physical, vital, mental, physical, vital, physical, physical. Or the 3 heavens, 3 luminous realms of the vital, and 3 earths. 3 physical realms, 3 vital realms, and 3 mental realms. All these 9 realms are called in the Veda as Navagvas, 9 rays. Sri Aurobindo speaks about them in The Secret of the Veda, and he says that these are the rays or the levels of consciousness. They can be also viewed as 9 months through which the embryo is developed in its full capacity to be fully functional. To have all the levels of consciousness. So it can be projected onto the scale of space or onto the scale of time. Something amazing to information or the knowledge to think about. So in the Rig Veda, they are called Navagva rishis, rishis of the 9 rays, and these Navagva rishis are calling to Indra. Indra belongs to Svar world, intuitive mind. Call to him with the help of Ayasya Rishi. Indra breaks the ceiling from above and comes down to them. And so they break through to the Svar world and they become Dashagva rishis, rishis of 10 rays. So there is no more mentioning of 12 rays because it's not important. Once you broke through to the Svar, you achieve all the rest of the 12 of them. By the way, Mother mentions this also in her yoga, that there are actually not 7 chakras, as we think, as we know, but there are 12. And she says there are 3 chakras above the head, and these are the chakras of the Svara world, of intuition, over mind, and supramental over mind, which we never reach because we are blocked with our Sahasrara chakra, with the highest mental mind. It is our top of our creation. We are born as Navagvas. We are having this constitution of these 3 times 3 within us. But these 3 above can be achieved, can be gained, as Vedic rishis gained them, with the help of intuition from above, of course. So what I want also to say, and there are 2 more chakras which are below the Muladhara. Muladhara is mental, physical, and below, on the level of knees and on the level of the feet, are the vital physical and physical physical. We also know about them very little, or nearly nothing, because nobody goes down so deep into the inconscient. So, truly speaking, we have 12 levels of consciousness within us. These 9 and these plus 3, 12 chakras. Only 7 we are aware of to a certain extent, even though 6 we are aware of, because mental mind is also very difficult to achieve. That Sahasrara has to open over the head. That chakra is we are hardly aware of. But what I want to say more is, if you look at this scheme, what is unique here, you see that this unity, one in many, in many, in one, and many, is the framework which allows us to look at everything from this point of view. 3 rojanas are nothing but the same framework. If you look at 3 rojanas again, we can see supramental over mind is unifying, over mind is diversifying, and intuitive mind is diversified. Yes? So it is the same story. And here we have mental, mind is more unifying, conceptualizing, vital is diversifying, and the physical is totally diversified. There is nothing in this world, in the physical world, which is identical. Yes, there is no same fingerprint, there is no same pebble on the shore or the leaves on the trees. You will not find identical physical representations. It's amazing. Conceptually, mentally, they are the same leaves, but physically they are totally different, infinitely different. So this is absolute many, this is unifying, and this is diversifying in between. And if you look at each of these levels, you will see the same framework. Mental mind is unifying, vital mind diversifying, physical mind diversified in the mind. Mental vital is unifying, vital is diversifying, physical vital is totally diversified on the vital level. Even on the physical level, the same triplicity of the supermind, mental, physical, the mind of the cells, Mother has this. This is mental, physical. Yes, it has more unifying element. It has kind of one approach to all the physicality, to all the cells. Vital physical is diversifying, and physical is unique representation, which has no replica, or you cannot compare it to any other. Does it make sense, all this? It's a metaphysical picture. It should make sense. No? If you look at these levels of consciousness, here I made this slide for you to easier to see it. We have named only from Muladhara to Sahasrara, but these 2 chakras below, we do not name, on the level of the knees and feet, and 3 chakras above Sahasrara, which belong to intuition over mind and supramental over mind, we do not name either, because we hardly have any access to these. We never deal with them. They are beyond our practicalities. This is, I kind of packed everything into one presentation because I want to show you that all this knowledge comes from the Veda, is used by Sri Aurobindo, and because of this over mind level was never used and was referred to the reference to it is of Maya, realm of Maya. It disappeared from the usage in post-Vedic literature. All these, intuition over mind and supramental over mind, became like some kind of illusion which had to be bypassed. We have to go beyond it into the transcendental and disappear there. So because of these realms, chakras, levels of consciousness were neglected, the whole transformation of our nature below became impossible. There was a gap, and that gap could not be crossed. It was never addressed. Transformation is not a question anymore in the post-Vedic literature anywhere. Nobody wants to transform anything. We want to find the transcendental and plunge to the beyond, forgetting this nature. But these 3 levels are so important for us to engage with, to locate and to rise to these levels, as Sri Aurobindo is rising in his World Stairs, in the 2nd book of Savitri, that they are actually needed for the transformation of the lower nature. Otherwise, without them, the connection to the supermind is lost. And supermind itself is lost. I already was mentioning this. So above the Sahasrara, there is certain change, qualitative change. I'm showing you this slide, which is the picture of Huta from the sketch of the mother, where mother explains levels of consciousness with colors. So you can see in conscience is dark, black and blue. Then physical is red, like our blood, interesting, not dark, not blue, but red, physical. There's something about this physical and psychic relation. We have to come back to it later, or in the questions. Vital is purple, dark purple. Mind is dark blue. Higher mind, this triple heaven, higher mind is lighter blue, and illumined mind, Sahasrara chakra, is, my mouse fell, is white blue, like sky blue. And then beyond the Sahasrara, beyond Sahasrara, we have intuitive mind, and notice there is a shift in color. There is no transition. Suddenly it is yellow. It has nothing to do with blue at all. There is no transition. Here we have the transition, and here no transition. This is where Dashagvarishis become Dashagvarish. Navagvarishis, all these blue, become this, they break through to this golden yellow. Then there is overmind, many-colored. Then there is overmind and supramental overmind, most probably, because it's not so different. And finally, supermind, the golden liquid gold. And then beyond there is bliss, which is more like saffron color, India's color. Then consciousness, it's silver, liquid silver, chittapas. Existence, pure white. And unmanifest asat, also like pure white. And beyond there is supreme, Purushottama. This shift from light blue to yellow is important for us to understand why we lost the connection between our mind, our triple mind here, with this triple mind, triple Trirochana Svar world there, and together with it we lost the contact with Vijnana. And Vijnana is the gate to the transcendental, but through the sacrifice, through constant transformation of this lower nature. Here I stop my presentation, and this is very important for us to know, to see all these levels. Look how beautifully nature designed our body. We have the head up to torso. We have all the mental chakras, yes, triple heaven. Then we have the torso, it is triple vital. Then we have the legs in triple physical. So perfectly designed. Yeah? 3 here, 3 in torso, and 3 in the legs. 3 times 3 centers. Even if you look at our face, you will see the same triple division. We have the eyes, we have the nose breathing, prana, eyes the mental, nose breathing, and mouth, which is eating, talking, and that is the physical. Physical, vital, mental, heaven, earth, and space in between. Even our face is designed in that way. So nature is following this design. Okay, I will stop here and open to the questions and remarks and ideas. This is the metaphysics. Important for us, absolutely important. We have to know where what is located and why and what it does and how everything is related. Yes, questions, remarks, ideas. Please go ahead.
I do have a question, if that's okay. Yeah. So, I'm curious what caused or when did we start forgetting the transformation aspect of the Vedas that, that Sri Aurobindo brings that we're supposed to transform ourselves instead of, being an ascetic, I guess.
Yeah. It happened with the loss of these of a mental connection with the overmind. Overmind was considered, because it was very difficult, as Aurobindo says, to transform our nature. So there was a shift in the approach to the knowledge. So India went for the transcendental, holding to the spirit, and the West went for the matter. And that connection in between was not required anymore, so to say. It was not useful, as it were, because that connection is needed for transformation, and so it was named by the Maya. By the way, in the Veda they name it Maya, and Maya means something else, not the illusion actually. It means the creative force, formative force. It is the force of the mother who creates on the overmental level all the forms of knowledge and power and forms of existence. And that power was named as an illusion and had to be bypassed. And nobody was interested to go there because to engage with that particular action and power is a big trouble and very difficult to do. So it is much easier to neglect nature totally, although it is not easy, it's very difficult. You have to be a great ascetic to really neglect nature and to jump out of the reincarnations, to be born, to be never born again, as somebody says. And so, or to forget that spirit and engage with life and do the best you can here. That's what the West did. Yeah? Improving the vital force, the mental force, working on them, working on the physical, perfection in the physical. But both are needed for the fulfillment of perfection. If we forget the spirit, then this perfecting this life is not good enough. Yes, there would be other forces taking advantage of it. If you go only for the spirit and forgetting nature, we neglect the very manifestation of the divine. So, and that link is so crucial, and recovery of the overmind and supermind, which Sri Aurobindo did in his philosophy and his yoga, are essential for this, for re-establishing the Vedic vision.
Thank you. Yeah, that answered my next question, which was when did we start turning from Maya being a divine thing to it being an obstruction to our transformation, or our evolution.
Right.
So thank you. Yeah.
By the way, Sri Aurobindo has a beautiful, I will add some writings. I have the whole article on Maya, how Sri Aurobindo views Maya, yes, and how to overcome Maya. He takes it in the post-Vedic sense, but with the Vedic insight. And there you will see how he deals with it. It's really amazing. He looks at Maya from two angles, from the above down, from the top down and from the bottom up. And he says from the top down, the Maya has to be overcome in one way, that you have to see everything as the divine. Yes, it's a spiritual look. It is the look of the witness Purusha, that Purusha who is above the head. Yeah. So that attitude is important, but it is not enough. You will not overcome Maya. You will see everything as Maya in a way. And the other element in it is to look from the psychic. Yeah? And from the psychic, you overcome it very differently. You don't see everything as the divine. You look for the divine. You accept nothing but the divine. And in that sense, you can overcome. If these two attitudes are held, you can overcome this idea of illusion. I will send the article to the group, so if somebody wants to read, there will be more insights into it.
Thank you.
I had just a follow-up comment/question from Chad's. It dawned on me as you were going through this, Vladimir, that you mentioned that it was neglected, this over mental. I'm wondering if it was not intentional, but instead that the only movement that was realized was the ascension. And they didn't realize that you could actually bring that consciousness back down, descend into the body, which is then what prepares the mind and the vital and the physical to transform according to these higher levels of consciousness. And it was really only because even Tantra, as you said before, everything's always been just an upward movement of consciousness and not a turn and bringing back down. And so the question becomes, and curious, is that did they consciously neglect it because they were just unaware of that movement? And Sri Aurobindo was the first to discover that possibility. Or did they truly just not want to or see that can be that it could transform? Or I guess I should say that it was just easier to neglect the
Yes,
physical,
it was
vital, and mental
easier to neglect. And of course, there are people or the sages and rishis who had those experiences, but there was no use for them, If you're looking for mukti, so mukti means you found your witness self and you want to stay there and disappear and dissolve in the Brahman. The whole idea is actually already in the Veda. You can see this colloquy of Agastya Rishi with Indra. We will look into this hymn and see the arguments from both sides, where Agastya Rishi is trying to get beyond the realm of Indra. And Indra is very offended, comes to him and says, "Why do you want to bypass me? I am your friend, not your enemy." And he wanted to bypass him. This is what the ascetics did, yes? They bypassed this realm, they bypass any need of transformation of nature to go to the beyond. And by bypassing overmind, they bypass supermind immediately and they go into the transcendental. Yes? Because somewhat supermind and overmind are working together. So to say, supermind is projecting itself into the overmind. Yes? If you bypass that projection, you don't need the source of the supermind. So you need only this Satchitananda. You have to dissolve in that Brahman, dissolving in the origin, and forgetting the rest. There are many more things which can be mentioned here with this topic, because and this is about integral yoga. So we are dealing with the Veda as the source from which Sri Aurobindo took his, or laid out his own paradigm of knowledge. He found the same levels of consciousness mentioned and active in the Veda. And that is actually a big discovery, because it's not his own invention. It's not his own, specific experience which he had as the great being, and he just laid out his own metaphysics. No, he refers to the Vedic metaphysics, to the Upanishadic. In some way even says that he didn't invent anything new and didn't discover anything new which was not there already in the texts. And so that we have to see. We have to understand that we are moving in the same tradition, only we forgot, we neglected those levels. And from here, the descent from above to the lower, as Radha mentioned, is actually determined by those levels over the head, over the mind. If those levels are not engaged, the descent becomes questionable. There is no descent. Descent comes from the overmental realms. That is the projection of the supermind. Once you engage with them, the supermind starts acting upon you, one way or another, illumining your mind levels, illumining your vital. You feel the descent of power. That is the power of the Divine Mother. By the way, in the Veda, this power of the overmind, the Divine Mother's power, has another name. She is Prishni. So there are three names of the Divine Mother. One is Aditi, transcendental. Other is Prishni, overmental. And Prishni means many-colored, varied in color. The same as overmind Mother paints with many colors. And the Diti, the dividing consciousness. So in between the transcendental in this world, there is a link. And that link, named Maya, or Prishni, in the Veda becomes the illusion. We bypass that. We don't need it anymore to go beyond. Sri Aurobindo once met one yogi in the Himalayas, and he refers to him in the letters that he explained to him his yoga of transformation of nature, and the yogi, who was already mukta, said, "This is such a marvelous idea. I would love to engage in this yoga, but I cannot, because I burned all the bridges to this world." He stays in the body only until it is exhausted. It is, finished by itself. But himself has nothing to offer to this world. He has the consciousness which is disconnected from this world, cannot engage, cannot help it, cannot do anything for it. And he says, "I regret, but I burnt all the bridges." This is something to think of. Sri Aurobindo's yoga is very different. He tells many times you should not do anything artificial to our lower nature. You should follow it to a certain extent. You should allow it to work itself out. It is not for you to transform it. It is not for you to decide what is to be and what is not to be. There is the higher force which you have to invite and to surrender to and start working with that, allowing it to work. Everything which is resisting the work of the higher force has to be rejected, but not otherwise. Pavitra asks him, should I read books? Is it really allowed to read books in this when I'm meditating and when I'm intensely in the sadhana? He says there is no rule for anything. You have to live. You have to meet with people. You have to read books and so on. But why? Because you should not burn the bridges. And this is not about you wanting liberation. It's about the divine embodying itself here in the world. So you have to allow it and work with the divine for this purpose. I hope it explains why that overmind is so important.
Vladimir, what would be the role of Krishna and our understanding of this space? Because with all this discussion that came up, which was so interesting, it seems like there is a polarity in the experience and expression in the world, from Aditi to Diti and Diti to Aditi, kind of so they are actually, one is the spiritual, another is the materialized spirituality, let us put it that way. I don't have a better way of putting it, actually. That's why I'm saying that.
Good.
Correct.
Materialized spirituality.
Yeah, because the West seems to have taken it to, a very refined level of excellence, actually making the earth maybe, the adequate space to going into that evolution. I mean, of course, but we can speak about that later. But right now, I'm intrigued about this Prishni, and you also equated it with Maya. And then I got a bit confused. So what is it that we need to understand, or we need to discover and really work our way through, even from the Indian soil, to actually grasp that realm of some kind of a balance, is what I'm wondering.
We are perfectly balanced as we are, actually, as Navagvas, as Navagvarishis are, yes? We have the triple mind, triple vital, triple physical. And this is the projection of the triple Svar world, of the triple supermind. So we cannot avoid it. We can't really say, if you look at this picture of we will see that the physical is actually nothing but the manifestation of the many of the supermind. So the physical is the supramental or spiritual creation. I will come back to this slide. This is important, really. We have to reconsider our physicality. If we come to this, we will see that physical is not only in the physical triple realm, it is also physical vital and physical mind. So it is like the most unique formation is on the mental level, on the vital level, on the physical level. And so without physical, this construct is impossible. Without the supermind manifesting many in the unique sense, in the infinite unique sense, the physical is not coming into existence. It is all determined and linked to the supermind. The whole manifestation here is the supramental manifestation. Only it didn't reach yet to the supermind in its ascending grades. It just got formulated only within this, and slowly it formulated. It grew through the evolution of consciousness. First there were mental physical forms, then there were vitality came into the physicality and formed it in a more than it. Mentality appeared, and then the animals, and then finally the human beings with mental mind, with Sahasrara chakra. Yeah? So this was framed in the evolution of consciousness slowly, and now we reached the top of it, and now only the beyond is possible. So how to activate that Maya? Maya should be translated as creative force, as creatrix of forms. The same as mother, matri, Maya, yes? The same root, ma, to create the form, to shape the manifestation. So to become aware of the Svar world, you have to go beyond the Sahasrara. You have to fix your consciousness above the head, open your head to the influence from above, and you will feel the presence. It will come to you, or one day it will come to you. And then you will feel the pressure from above. Many people feel it already and do not know how to explain it. They don't know what it is about. But the presence over the head is very strong. And that is your higher chakras, 3 chakras, which we never engaged with. And through them, there is a supramental force reaching out, descending upon you to change this structure, to influence it, to transform it. Yeah? So in this sense, this is the integral yoga of Sri Aurobindo, and this is the yoga of the Veda. That's why they speak all the time about bringing gods down. Who are the gods? The gods are from the Svar world. They are from the overmind. These are the powers of the divine which descend into our lower hemisphere, into this triple 3 worlds, and start modifying it, changing qualities, powers, capacities of this. So this invocation of these powers into the realm, into the lower realm, is the yoga of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. I'm laying it on the Vedic paradigm, yes?
May I ask?
Yes, please, dear.
So basically, this when you said invocation to the gods, is it that invocation through concentration on the top of the head, or through mantras?
Anything which works for you. Mantras.
Anything.
Yeah. One day mantra will work the best, other day just you don't need even to concentrate, you are already drawn to it naturally. Nothing artificial should be done. This much I can say. There has to be a need. Yeah, you can ask also the question, difficult one, where is psychic being here in all of this? Yeah. So that psychic is hiding within, yes, which is actually constantly invoking and connected through the overmind and supermind and can bring them down. Psychic has the power, actually sincere aspiration, has the power to make this connection and to call to these forces, as the Veda would say, the flame of Agni is calling to them, commanding them to come. You see, those gods in the overmind, they don't want to come by themselves. Why should they come into this lower darkened hemisphere? And it's very painful for them to be here. It's no fun for them to be here. But when the flame from the heart commands the divine will, the truth within us, they cannot refuse this command. And so they have to come. So they come down. Beautiful. And he makes them work. As in the Veda it is said, "O Agni, bring here the gods, bring." Make them come down.
Thank you.
Yes, I think if we follow the integral yoga of Sri Aurobindo, we will discover the Vedic yoga. Or we need only to know that the Vedic yoga is not different from integral yoga. That much we have to know. The whole these series are designed to make you aware that we are talking the same thing. More? thoughts, ideas?
Vladimir, normally we in the Vedas they talk about Indra and the other gods. I mean, where do like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh fit in as the creator, benefactor, and the destroyer? They were not around during the Vedas, or the concept didn't exist.
Were not around. They joined the party later, yes?
Later on, yeah, something.
No, they were around. They are actually the central godheads or in the Veda itself. You see, if you observe how many hymns are dedicated to Agni, there are 200 something 20 hymns to Agni, 260 plus to Indra, and so on. These are the two deities, the most with the biggest numbers of hymns. So why these two? Sri Aurobindo actually addresses this, and he says it looks like Vishnu and Rudra have only few hymns, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Rudra has 3 hymns, Vishnu has maybe 5 or 6, and also in connection to other godheads. So why they are not so prominent? Yes, and he says because they are prominent, they are central for the Veda. But they are represented by Indra. Vishnu is represented by the action of Indra, and Rudra is represented by his son Agni. So you can see them now in action. Agni is the action of Rudra rising from below. Rudra is someone who holds on his shoulders the whole manifestation. He is the supreme who holds the nature from within. Yeah. And Agni is flaming out, reaching to heaven, trying to reach to the top of uninvolved sun. And Vishnu is younger brother of Indra, and Indra acts with his lightnings. Notice Vishnu and Indra have the same Vajra. That Vajra is that lightning which comes down as intuition, breaking through the ceiling of our mind and coming down, and we become Dashagva Rishis. That is Indra's action. So once this sleeping down intuition and rising Agni, they want to join. Yeah? And Brihaspati comes from within the heart with his mantras, with the Rishis as his sons, with Maruts as the singers of the hymn, which is connecting the two, framing the flame, aspiration from nature, framing it into a more concrete aspiration towards intuition. And once it is framed, it can reach to heaven. And so the lightning of Indra and Agni come together. And once they come together, the sacrifice is fulfilled. The gap is bridged. The gap means in our consciousness. The uninvolved divine and involved divine join with the divine from within. And these are the 3 deities.
But
It is Sri Aurobindo's explanation I'm giving you.
Okay. But at some level, weren't the 3 gods considered to be the gods and the others were the lower gods? Wasn't that
you
the
can
concept?
say so. Well, it's a mental already construct that there are greater. Of course, Vishnu is Vishnu, Rudra, Shiva, and Brihaspati, Brahmanaspati or Brahman are the fundamental godheads of the Hinduism, yes, the Trinity. That's why they were highlighted, and other actions like Agni and Indra became smaller, so to say, less important. Yeah? Though they're still kind of important, but nobody knows why.
Thank you.
Does Lord Krishna also have mention in the Vedas?
Not really. There is, of course, mentioning in Chandogya, Krishna, son of from Devaki's son. Yes, he's the son of Ghora Angirasa. Interesting. somewhere he was connected, yes, with the Veda. Ghorangirasa is the rishi of the Veda. So most probably, it's a mysterious thing with Krishna, yes. And the whole Christianity is just taking the myth of Krishna and putting it into another framework of the Semitic tradition. The same story and the same, the king will be born, and and they try to kill him. The king Kansa tries to kill Krishna, and there is another king tries to kill Jesus. So quite interesting to see these parallels. Most probably mythology is overlapping with some truth or some spiritual truth, let us say. Pavitra asked Sri Aurobindo the same question, similar question: was Krishna real or not? Yeah, was he a person? He wanted to know. And he tells him, why do you want to know that? Krishna is, even if he was not there, he is as real or even more real than any other real person. Because his presence is here and his power is here, and it influences so many millions of people in their, aspiration, in their evolution of consciousness. So is he real or not? Of course he is real. But yes, the follower, he was the disciple of Ghorangirasa. It's kind of interesting. And it is mentioned, son of Devaki. So
I'm wondering, Vladimir, because although I certainly see a lot of aspects of bhakti in the Rig Veda, that particular aspect of Krishna is the Lord of bhakti, the Lord of love, since that's not as prominent, and some would say not at all even shown in the Rig Veda, perhaps that's one reason that he's not represented or mentioned. Maybe you can say a little something about Bhakti Yoga and the Rig Veda.
right. There's something interesting in the Veda we find. Veda belongs, it's as the conclusive, period of the huge tradition before. And the idea of the flame in the heart is discovered by the Nutana rishis, by the rishis of the Veda, Rig Veda. And somebody asked the mother, did Vedic rishis know about the flame in the heart, about the psychic presence? And she says, no, they didn't, but they discovered it. This is something interesting. Interesting answer. So they didn't before, but they discovered it after, within this yoga of the... So they discovered the flame within the heart. So I must tell you that in the esoteric history, the discovery of the psychic presence in the heart is a new phenomenon. Before there were sacrifices differently done by the means of nature, by tapasya. You concentrate your effort, your will, to one-pointed will, and you burn for it. You flame in tapasya, yes? And he flamed in tapas, and having flamed in tapas, this is universal flame. This is the flame Agni, as a universal power spread in nature, which is constantly burning upward, pushing everything in the evolutionary process of nature. So there is a universal flame, yes, which is all over in the greenery, in the orchardhi. It is that flame, yes, which is making everybody grow and evolve and cast the seed and continue regenerations. So this is the Agni of the previous esoteric achievements. The sacrifice was done by the means of nature to achieve a higher capacity of the divine capacity of nature. But then there was a discovery made. These are old gods also, Varuna, Mitra. They belong to that group of gods, of the previous gods, ancient gods. And then there was a shift. The flame within the heart was discovered as the love for the divine. And interestingly, in the Rig Veda, you will find references all the time to Agni in two different forms. One is Yajatra, worthy of sacrifice, and other is Idya, wanted to be sought with adoration, or Priya, beloved one. So Agni, beloved one in the heart, and Agni, which is making transformation in nature, is that universal flame. And these two sources of our spiritual power in the embodied state, one is that which is rising from below, holding the whole nature, Shiva Lingam, Kundalini Shakti. These are the forces, Agni, hidden, the force, the divine force, which is rising from below, pushing the whole manifestation forward in nature. And the other is the flame in the heart, the love for the divine, total surrender. One is ascetic power, Shaiva power, Shiva Lingam, Shaiva power, Kundalini Shakti. It is his ancient power of the ascetics, who could achieve anything. They could realize the divine by that power. But then there was a discovery made that there is a shortcut to heaven, and that is the psychic, the flame in the heart. You can, by surrendering to the divine, allow the divine to come down and do the work. You don't have to do it yourself with your will, with your tapasya. You have to find that flame, bring it forward, and surrender. And that is that bhakti movement, love towards the divine. This was discovered later. And you see, even in Indian tradition, the Angushtamatra Purusha or Chaitya Purusha, Chaitanya discovered it in the heart, or Mirabai. The whole bhakti movement comes much later in the period, when we become aware of the presence in the heart more and more. You will not find it in the Upanishads much, or in the Veda much. You will find it more in the Ramayana. Ramayana is already about this love of, and this is amazing, because in the esoteric history, Ramayana is considered to be the first literature which brought this psychic element forward, this heart element, love element, though you don't find it so much, but when you read Ramayana, you feel that love. You feel it everywhere, how Dasharatha loves his sons, and especially Rama, how he dies out of this sorrow because he misses his son, how everybody's love, how Lakshmana loves Rama, and how Bharata loves Rama, how he brings his chapels put on the throne. Everywhere, love to the tears, this emotional kind of overwhelming love of Ramayana was not known before. And when Lava and Kusha went around, they were singing Ramayana, the story, to the rishis in the forest. All the rishis were overwhelmed. It is said like this. They were overwhelmed with bhakti, and they gave to them their last belongings. Somebody gave them a stick, other gave him a chapel or something. Everybody, whatever they had, they gave them as the gift, because they never had that feeling of bhakti. So this bhakti movement, this recognition of the presence in the heart, is discovered in the period, in the evolution of consciousness much later, closer to our time. Most probably that's why we undergo this new, reformulation of all spirituality in the light of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, because the Mother is that presence in the heart, and Sri Aurobindo is that presence over the head. And when you bring them together, you will have the fullness of manifestation. I did this a little clumsy to explain to you this esoteric history change. But if you really observe and start tracing it back, you will find that it is totally true. That this, and all the human rights coming with this more and more brotherhood feeling. You will see that this humanitarian approach, it is coming with a psychic being closer to the surface. We reconsider our ideals. We look at the human beings more from their own value, of the psychic value. This was not possible before, even 200 years back. So it's kind of evolving situation. Even formation of the nation souls, which I was mentioning before, it's also bhakti. It is that psychic. It's a psychic involvement. Nations were not formed 500 years back, 1,000 years back. There were no nations. There were kingdoms. But the idea of national consciousness, nation consciousness was not there. It's also the result of this bhakti, or this love from within the heart reaching to the surface. So we see these elements arising. Yes, Gita Shri.
Maybe that's why I was just thinking Huta painted that realm, the physical realm, as red, coming out of the darkness.
Very
into
good.
Love.
Yeah. The physical and red. No, it says the puzzling thing. Why red? Why from the dark blue, red, and then dark purple? Red in between, physical. Because physicality is a part of this psychic realm of earth. There is something here, this golden red. There is a psychic presence in it. It's not just dumb or unconscious. It is actually, it has consciousness in it, psychic consciousness. This is the mystery, of course. We do not know much, but we can think about it. Yeah, very good that you noticed that, yeah. For many of you who are new to Sri Aurobindo's yoga, it can be overwhelming, I know. But for those who study Sri Aurobindo and really are interested, this is a very good kind of teaser to start learning about more. There's so much more to learn, and it is all connected to us directly. Our physicality is a part of this spiritual growth. It is not something opposing it. It is not an obstacle. It is the very foundation. It is the very application field. Yes, we have to do much in this physical, and the more we do, the better it is for the future, for our own future. So don't think that, oh, my life is coming to the end. Sometimes I think like this. So better I focus on that where I have to be as a spirit. No, it's not the way to go. We have to bring all the powers of the spirit into the body. This is securing our future development. There is no other way to proceed. And we cannot do it by ourselves. We need to call to those forces, to the mother. When we call to the mother in integral yoga, that's what we do in the Veda. We call to the gods who are her faculties.
Vladimir, I had an observation.
Yes.
We read in Savitri that Sri Aurobindo's own realization was first with the silent Brahman. And it was the mother's, in the second half of the book, when it's talking about mother's yoga, then we see the psychic realization. So is there a connection in the integral yoga where Sri Aurobindo already had the realization when mother came and she brought the psychic knowledge and realization to the yoga? Is that how it happened?
I think so, yes. He went in the how to say, not ordinary, but in the way how he was introduced to yoga, yes, to separate Purusha from Prakriti. And it was really useful because once you find the witness unborn self, you can manage your nature and you manage your spirituality and sadhana much easier. So, but he was meant to do more. And that's why Krishna took him into Alipur jail, as Krishna tells him later. And because Sri Aurobindo was too busy, even being already mukta, liberated, he was too busy fighting for Indian independence. And Sri Krishna was coming to him few times, suggesting to have, really kind of connection with him. And Sri Aurobindo heard the voice. He said, I remember the voice I heard, but I was too busy doing things which were important for the freedom fighting moment. And so then he was captured and put into Alipur jail, and Krishna came to him and said, I tried to come to you, but you were too busy, so I kind of liberated you from your busyness outside and put you into the jail to have with you relations. And there he revealed to him something very important. That was Krishna's cosmic consciousness, not a silent Brahman, but he revealed to him that what Sri Aurobindo calls some cosmic consciousness, dynamic Brahman. He saw Krishna in every form. He saw the divine, the supreme. It is a very important realization before Mother arrives. Yes? And then when Mother arrives, he recognized her immediately, and she recognized him. But she brought this new power of the Aditi, because she is the Aditi in her embodied state. And she has the connection to the transcendental directly to the physicality through psychic. And he saw that psychic is that link to the physicality. That's why he, in the letter to the sadhak I already mentioned, he says that I am the influence over the head and of the mental and vital consciousness from the beyond, and Mother is from the psychic over the vital and physical. Physical was included into this paradigm finally, and that concluded this Vedic fullness of these Navagvas becoming Dashagvas. That physicality, the triple earth, was included because of the psychic connection. It's only psychic, that red strip, of the physicality, of the psychic presence on earth, which has this connection to the true physicality. We do not know what physicality is yet, even. We are such beginners in that sense. If you think of our body, it's a miracle in every way. It moves, it talks, it thinks. It's a physical substance, after all. It feels love, it feels presence of the divine. How is that even possible? That material form can do it. Just wonder about it. This wondering is much more useful than knowing what it is about. So, yes, Mother is the golden bridge, as he says, connects the supramental. He came up to the highest levels of the overmind and had the glimpses of the supermind, but then he saw that he cannot connect it to the physical. There is a gap. Suddenly you come to the vital and that's it. Physical is separate, as if. There is a gap between. There is an abyss between the higher and the lowest. And that abyss has to be crossed, and it can be crossed only by the psychic presence. And because psychic is formed on earth. And the
I just thought,
yes.
Yeah, I just thought now how soil around Matri Mandir is red.
Also, yes, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It's kind of interesting because when I came to Auroville, you know, I was in Pondicherry and then I came to Auroville and I saw that red soil and I recognized it. I knew that it is home. I do not know why. Red soil, that particular redness in the soil. Great. If there are no more, are there more? Some thoughts? Milan? No?
Yes,
Enya?
but maybe it's too late now.
No.
Could you explain the meaning of Satyam, Ritam, Brihat in a little bit more detail?
Yes, Satyamritam Brihat is exactly that what Sri Aurobindo put as the one, many in one, and many. Yeah? Satyam is that what is, Ritam is the dynamic truth, becoming of the Satyam, yes, in the diversifying, and Brihat is manifesting it into the vastness. Yeah, this is triple supermind. We have also Ila, Saraswati, Mahi, the three rivers of this Satyam, Ritam, Brihat, in the same manner. Ila is more revelation, Saraswati is more inspiration, and Mahi is fundamental manifestation in the vastness. Triple supermind. We knew nothing about it before Sri Aurobindo. Now we find it in the Veda, we find it in Savitri, we start thinking about it. The moment we recognize this level of consciousness, we become connected to it in some mysterious way. It starts working upon us. We could feel the change, the shift in consciousness. Yes, any more thoughts? Reflections, ideas? You can also use our WhatsApp for questions, sharing thoughts, ideas. Please share your ideas, insights. This is so invaluable. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't be stingy with ideas and insights. Share them with others. Yes, Selby wants to say something. She is smiling.
No, I'll write it. It's long, but you established. I was not aware that Agni was Rudra's son, so that has connected two dots for me in my quest for where is the Veda in Christianity. So it's a long explain. So I'll do it later.
Right. Okay. We also have regular studies of the aims to the mystic fire. Now we are studying the Yama and Yami aims to Yama on Fridays, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I think we have. So if you, after these sessions, if some of you wants to join, it's for everyone. So you please come. I will give you the link in case somebody wants to come. Many of you are already there in those studies. We study hymns, verse by verse, word by word, with Sri Aurobindo's insights. And that is much more interesting because there we reconnect all the dots and see the whole picture through the hymns. Great. Okay, I will stop here if there are no more insights and nobody wants to share anything. So let us close with a minute of silence. Namaste.
Namaste.